Let's check in with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's daughter, who's screaming at the United Nations demanding mask mandates.
And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for.
She's doing amazing work, and it also begs the question, what happened to her? And why are children of Hollywood elites so insane? Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we call out lies, hypocrisy, corruption, and help spread the light of truth and freedom because truth conquers. Now, why is Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's daughter screaming at the United Nations demanding mask mandates? Well, we'll hear from her. It's a really good reason. I'm compelled. I forgot we're in the middle of a pandemic that she's crusading for. And it also begs the question, why are Hollywood children so insane? Like, do they put something in the water? Is it their parents? Is it their parents are involved in a satanic cult and therefore they're the offspring of it? We'll get into that. But first, all over the airwaves, the other day, Trump was at the United Nations shaming them about their climate change narrative, calling it the greatest hoax in the history of the world. That's great. But luckily, Violet Affleck is here setting the record straight on why we should still mask children. Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner's daughter, calls for mask mandates at UN due to ongoing pandemic. That's great. And she has the authority to be calling for mask mandates. That's great. And here you can see young Violet. Well, you really can't see her. She's hiding behind a mask. She's got overly dorky glasses on. Her parents are richer than heck, and she's wearing the most horrendous, cheap-looking glasses imaginable. That's great. And this is Violet kind of looking normal on the right. Looking very abnormal on the left. Normal on the right. One more time. Very abnormal. Kind of mentally ill looking on the left. Now there's a common thread about the children of Hollywood elites that does not fit the normal demographic of children across the U.S. So starting with that, these are from Ollie London on Twitter. These are Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's children. One is a COVID mask activist. I don't know, does like the mask industrial complex funder? I'm not sure. Demanding mask mandates be reinstated in 2025. Boy, that's great. The other is trans and identifies as a boy. Her ex-stepsister, Jennifer Lopez's daughter, also identifies as non-binary. Now, Violet, the COVID mask crusader, kind of Greta Thunberg 2.0, just yelling at the UN kind of thing. I guess technically she's not trans. At least not trans yet. Give it a little bit of time. Definitely will be trans, but apparently not trans yet. But the moral of this story, she's insane. And Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's other daughter is trans and identifies as a boy. Wow, how are they 2 for 2? But they're not the only ones in Hollywood that are batting a real high percentage of trans kids. Now check this out. And you can find this information all over the place. Take this with a grain of salt, but it's pretty consistent with what I've seen before. Daughter of Jennifer Garner, trans, also daughter of Ben Affleck. Daughter of Cynthia Nixon, trans. Son of Robert De Niro, trans, and no surprise. Son of Gabrielle Union, trans. Son of Naomi Watts, trans. Daughter of Marlon Wayans, trans. Son of Charlize Theron, trans. Daughter of Cher, trans. Son of Jamie Lee Curtis, trans. Daughter of Rosie O'Donnell, non-binary. She escaped good. It could have been worse with Rosie as your dad. Daughter of Jennifer Lopez, non-binary. And here you see Jamie Lee Curtis with presumably her son and whoever these people are. Don't know, don't care. So right now we know there's a big uproar in the CDC. Trump is calling for transparency with big pharma and like their drugs. And the old guard at CDC is on their way out. Everybody's raising a fuss. And that's exactly why I love ground news. They empower you to be informed with transparency instead of deception. Let me show you some of the features that I absolutely love. And on this particular story, Trump calls on pharmaceutical companies to justify success of COVID drugs. You can see there's 93 total news sources, 10 lean left, 25 lean right, and 16 are centered. And you can even sort the articles based on left, center, right. For example, Zero Hedge, they're a right-leaning outlet titled, "I want the answer. Trump demands Pfizer prove mRNA jabs work." Pretty right-leaning headline. And if we click over to the left-leaning headlines, for example, NBC News leans left, to say the least. Trump demands pharmaceutical companies release COVID drug success rates, which of course implies there's a success rate to release. And I also love the blind spot feature of ground news. Stories disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. So this headline, Rosie O'Donnell apologizes for saying Minneapolis shooter was a MAGA person. That is a blind spot of the left, with just 6% of the coverage coming from left-leaning sources and 88% coming from right-leaning sources. And ground news makes it easy to stay informed while eliminating the deception that is so rampant in media. Stop getting deceived and get informed. And right now, save 40% off the Vantage subscription by scanning the QR code you see on your screen now, or go to my link in the description, or hit up ground.news/JP. Now back to the video. If you look at the percentage of Hollywood elites and their children being trans, it is remarkably high compared to the everyday citizens' percentage of their children being trans, whatever that is. Mental illness, call it what you might, but there's something going on. And before we get to, what's her name, Violet Affleck, the Masked Crusader, here's my hypothesis on why such a high percentage of Hollywood elites have children that are messed up. Whether they're a mask activist, they're trans, they're non-binary, they're a drug addict, whatever expression their mental disorder is, here's why I think it is. Satan infiltrates them pretty well. There's no question, if you look at the Hollywood industrial complex and just ask yourself, is that run by God or is that run by Satan? Which one's more likely? Well, seems a lot more likely to be run by Satan. Do they instill good morals in movies? No, they don't. Do they instill demoralization, which is the intentional act of destroying morals? Yeah, they do that. They definitely do that. So not only do they, our films, our TV shows, all of our narratives, we're not going to bother instilling good morals. Like, for example, Brave Books does with kids' books, or Gus Plus Us, a kids' TV show, does with their show. They purposely instill good morals. But Hollywood says, yeah, not only we're not going to bother instilling good morals. Ain't our job. Fair enough. But we will purposely instill demoralization. We will purposely destroy morals and glorify that. So if you want to be part of the Hollywood elite club, that's what you're subscribing to. And typically, if you stop subscribing to it, they kick you out. Just ask Kevin Sorbo. So those people that subscribe to, well, let's just call it Satan's ways, the Hollywood elites, they have children. So those children are subscribed to their parents, not through choice, just through birth. Those children are subscribed to their parents, who are subscribed to a satanic cult. So does it make sense why the children on such a demographically unlikely high percentage are messed up? And again, however that messed upness symptomatically expresses itself, whether they say they're trans, they're non-binary, they're a mask activist, they're in drugs, does it make sense why they're so messed up? And if so, what you're about to watch from Violet Affleck will now make sense. Now, here she is at the United Nations giving a very compelling, authoritative argument. What authority does she stand on? Well, Satan's authority. Okay, let her talk. Now, the sound quality of this is a little low, but she's also a low-quality human being, so that adds up. Let's have a listen.
For adults, the relentless beat of back to normal, ignoring, downplaying, and concealing both the prevalence of airborne transmission and the threat of long COVID, manifested in a series of choices. Young people lacked real choice in the matter and information about what was being chosen for us. Here's what we know about SARS-CoV-2. It is airborne, floating and lingering in the air. One infection can result in disabling damage to almost every cell in the body, from the brain and heart to the nerves and blood vessels.
That's a big claim. One infection of COVID can disable every cell in the body. I almost think she just made that up.
Every subsequent infection increases the risk of long COVID and places people who already have it in greater danger.
And it places you in danger of having natural immunity.
Here's what we don't know, is what it does to reinfect children over and over and over again with no end point in sight from the day they are born. We are about to find out. As Dr. Akiko Iwasaki says, at this point, the whole population is the control group. And after only 5 years, long COVID has surpassed asthma as the most common chronic illness in children.
I also don't know that that's true. But she's right. After only 5 years, we're no longer masking. I never did. But for the rest of she's right. We stopped masking after only 5 years? That is irresponsible. How about 5 generations, then we start talking about it, okay?
5 years. I am terrified for the children who do not or soon will not know a world without debilitating pain and exhaustion.
By the way, she looks very terrified. That is the face, mind you, you can't see her face because she's literally wearing a symbol that says, I'm afraid. This is a very fear-based thing. She looks like a very afraid, scared person.
Who cannot trust their bodies to play, explore, and imagine, and who will not know the potential of their own minds unfettered by the cognitive damage from a COVID-19 infection.
I like that. The cognitive damage of a COVID-19 infection. How about the cognitive damage of children who don't see faces? By the way, Violet, he, she, they, whatever it is, was 14 in 2020. So for the past 5 years, we have a social experiment in front of us of what happens to a 14-year-old when they don't see faces for 5 years. What are the results? Oh, that's the result?
And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for.
I don't think our ancestors generations ago would kill for a mask. They wouldn't. They would eventually kill in the name of protecting their loved ones. They'd kill in the name of eating. I don't think they were out there like killing each other for masks.
And we refuse to use it. And I shudder to think of where we will be in another 5 years of unmitigated infection and reinfection.
It's in 5 years from now, it'll almost be like we're okay, and that'll be really bad. Can you imagine?
But let me say on the topic of generational memory that while I imagine no one in this room was alive in the time of Jon Snow or Ignaz Semmelweis, many of you fought the long and hard battle against indoor smoking. My only memory of that era, at almost 20 years old, is being confused as a child about the no smoking signs on planes. Who would do that? That's gross. My hope for this event and my belief in this community rest on the belief that we can and we must do that again. We can recognize filtered air as a human right as intuitively as we do filtered water.
Well, she's wrong on both accounts. What she's presuming is what is a human right you are compelled to do. For example, freedom of speech. You have that. It's a human right. But you're not compelled to speak. That's not a part of a human right. Filtered water, yeah, that's inherently a right. Like nobody's prohibiting you from using a water filter. It's basically comes down to basic freedom. Like, yeah, you can buy things from the free market. Thus, you can get a water filter from the free market. But you're not compelled to use it. more people drink tap water than filtered water. You are not compelled to use a filter on your water. And here it is with filtered air. She's referring to a mask as an air filter. Some would say it does the exact opposite, as I lost my blue light, and that's okay. But she's essentially saying, well, filtered air is a human right, so you have to do it. We should have to do it. But do you know you're taking away human rights to air if that's your thing? You're trying to compel a mask. That's nothing to do with human rights. You already have the human right to masks. And guess what? Most people don't exercise that right because they don't see value in it. Yes, it's a right. You can go buy it and wear it if you want. It's already a right, Violet.
We can create clean air infrastructure that is so ubiquitous and so obviously necessary, tomorrow's children don't even know why we need it.
I like that. The children don't even know why they need it. That's really the sure sign that you do need it.
The people who remember 2020, who were not like me, 14 in 2020.
See, that's, again, she's 14, 20. This is what happens when you mask kids.
To be loud about the world that we were promised at the onset of the pandemic, when we and our institutions promised each other that if we only got out of that desperate acute phase, we would do everything we could to protect our communities going forward.
Spoken like a tyrant who happens to have no authority and happens to be the daughter for another few months until, I'm sure, what is an inevitable transition to a boy, but is currently the daughter of two Hollywood elites who are seemingly part of a satanic cult called Hollywood. And I do believe this is the consequence when you raise children in a satanic cult. They are insane, they behave like tyrants, and they carry no value. But let me know what you think about Violet Affleck, and let me know what you think about how and why such a high percentage of Hollywood children are trans and just messed up in general. Let me know in the comments, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, please stay sane.